This session is about scaling food economies in a regenerative way from the Amazon forest. We believe the forest should be worth more alive and standing than cut and burned. Philanthropy, investment, corporate procurement, they all have a role. There's a little bit about the history of this session that I'm going to invite Marcelo to talk about.
Thank you, Jonah, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks to my colleagues in the panel and also SOCAP for having us. And thank you guys for coming. It's a little odd that a lot of people talk about the Amazon and we don't have a full room. And that's why I wanted to thank you even more for joining us here. It's very important, building up from what Jonah said, that the Amazon is on fire and that we are experiencing the worst drought ever recorded in the Amazon right now. So just a quick reminder that people are starving and hungry in the largest freshwater basin in the world and place of the highest biodiversity in the world. So it's very important that we discuss here alternatives to have that richness preserved, and especially the cultural and richness of people that live there. I'm Marcelo Werner. I'm originally from São Paulo, and I've been living in the Amazon for the last 10 years, working together with communities in various value chains to develop alternatives, economic alternatives to the destructive patterns of illegal mining and deforestation and cattle ranching and so forth. I will talk a little bit about Amana, which I'm launching as of now. But before, I wanted to speak a little and frame what we're going to talk about, which is scaling. Why did we propose that word and that title? Because there are different levels of scale that I wanted to set forth to you, which is not only about the dollars, right? Just 2 days ago, we heard, and I liked it very much, the level of scale of time. So we want to produce businesses that have scale in time. We don't want a business that becomes huge and then disappears. We want businesses that are resilient over the course of the time, and that's why we want to see businesses that are built upon the biodiversity of the Amazon. And I think that scale of diversity and impact are also very important to understand. So when we are talking about scaling an Amazon forest-based food system, we're not talking about having unicorns arise. We don't like that. We prefer jaraquis. Jaraquis are small fishes in the Amazon, and they're small, but together they make huge shoals and they feed a lot of people in the Amazon. So we want jaraqui companies all together scaling the bioeconomy and the economies of the biodiversity in the Amazon, all the countries. I think that we have to learn from what the forest tells us to establishing this economic parameter for the Amazon, which is based on diversity and based on collaboration. Plants, trees, animals, they all collaborate in the forest. And that's how we view the business ecosystem for the biodiversity in the Amazon, which is based on collaboration, based on diversity. So I wanted to set that so that we understand that scaling doesn't mean to grow indefinitely. Scale means preserving the culture, preserving the more than 300 different languages that are in the Amazon, and preserving all the ancestral knowledge from indigenous people that are been working to create the Amazon, basically, for the last 12,000 years. And with that, I pass back to Jonah so that we can start.
I'm going to ask each person a question, and in the process, I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. But first, just a little bit of context. So my name is Jonah Wittkamper, 4 years ago, I co-founded a global network of investors and philanthropists and corporate buyers focused on shifting the economics of the Amazon rainforest away from deforestation. It's called the Amazon Investor Coalition. To date, we've managed to mobilize over 50 million of new investing in the region and 15 million in philanthropic pledges to support bioeconomies in the region to help the forest become worth more alive and standing than cut and burned. The history that made that possible is I previously co-founded an organization called Nexus, a global network of investors and philanthropists to bridge communities of wealth and impact. So how can we mobilize the attention of global economies and financial interests to help the Amazon be what it is, one of the most valuable things for all of planet Earth? 15 million years ago, a tectonic plate bumped into the western side of South America and pushed up the Andes Mountains. And what was a very large inland lake started pouring out for the first time into the eastern part of South America. And that created this very special ecosystem, the Amazon River Basin. 15 million years ago, there's been 15 million years of evolution. The estimates of the species there, perhaps up to 30% of species on Earth exist in that forest. Yet, there is rapid deforestation and rapid drying out of the region. It is possible that in the next few decades, that forest will turn into a dry grassland that is perpetuated because of deforestation. You pull out the trees, it's like pulling out the sponge of the system. It no longer holds that water. Your average drop of water falls on the Amazon rainforest 4 times before it gets washed out into the Atlantic Ocean. When you do too much deforestation, it's like cracking a hole in a straw. That system to pull up that liquid doesn't work as well. You have air in there. How do we restore that system? On February 14th this year, the New York Times and Nature put out articles saying that we have reached this Amazon tipping point. It's going to run over and dry out the forest in the region and kill off a majority of the life there unless we do 5% of reforestation in the region. So all this area, it's like the size of the continental United States. Unless we reforest 5% of it, this drying out process is going to happen. Fortunately, that restoration process can be worth more than what is happening there now. Cattle earns $250 per hectare per year. A grove of guava trees, 1 hectare in agroforestry of guava trees can earn $10,000 per hectare per year. There's a lot of demand for beef. There's not as much demand for guava trees. But we can manufacture that demand for Amazonia's bounty. There are dozens and dozens of plants that can replace the cattle and soy monocultures that exist there today. What's missing is the regenerative businesses that make that new vision possible. If you replace the cows and put in trees, it'll sequester so much carbon dioxide, it'll literally pull us back in time. If you follow the markets, the carbon prices from Europe, restoration of that 70 million of deforested Brazilian Amazon would be worth about $3 trillion. So extraordinary wealth creation opportunities if we can just make it happen. Okay, so that's the context we're running up against. We're going to do 2 rounds of questions, and then you guys need to give us your questions. First round, we're going to talk about the forest protection economy. Standing forests, what are the things that pay for the forest to remain standing? And then the second round of questions is going to focus on scaling and the ecological restoration economy. That means reforestation, using carbon revenues, agroforestry, cattle intensification, so you can produce more cows on less land, lots and lots of growth opportunity there. So, first, Jorge, in addition to introducing yourself, I want to ask you, as one of the largest beverage companies in the world, how is AHE supporting the wild harvest economy of the Amazon?
Okay, well, thank you, Jonah. It's scary what you're saying because I have a PPT always, a presentation where these years, where I was saying, if we reach the tipping point, then, and now I cannot use that slide anymore because, as you're saying, we have reached the tipping point of the Amazon. And so this is how fast this is happening. So anyway, my name is Jorge Lopez Torriga. I'm the Chief Communication and sustainability officer for Grupo AGE, that is a beverage company from Peru. We started in the mountains of Peru 30 years ago, in the middle of biodiversity. It's a family-owned company, and now we are in over 20 countries. But as an image speaks more than 1,000 words, I'm going to roll this video where it explains how this beverage company is supporting with a project that is called. This video is from the British government. It's from Partnership for Forests. We didn't create it. And it talks about how this project, Superfruits that preserve the forest. So if we can roll.
Nos encontramos en el corazón de la Amazonía, uno de los ecosistemas más biodiversos del planeta. Y ellos son los guardianes del bosque, quienes trabajan por preservar su hogar y la vida de miles de especies que dependen de él.
Solo vas a coger los maduros y el resto vas a dejar para la fauna. Si tienes 5, coges 3 y dejas 2.
A través del proyecto Superfrutos que conservan bosques, impulsamos la cadena de valor de 2 productos únicos: el aguaje o árbol de la vida y el camu camu, la mayor fuente de vitamina C en el mundo. Juntos hemos desarrollado un bionegocio que ayuda a las comunidades a conservar sus bosques y luchar contra la deforestación.
Yo cuando era niño entrábamos al aguajal con mi padre y veía cómo se talaban las palmeras. Pero ahora aquí en la reserva todo es distinto. Hola, soy el presidente de la Asociación de Manejo de Recursos Naturales, aquí en 20 de enero en el Pacaya, Samiria. Antes vendíamos nuestro aguaje a cualquier precio, porque en el mercado había mucha competencia. Hasta que llegaron nuestros amigos de AGE. Hoy, con nuestro aguaje, prepara bebidas saludables de pura pulpa. Con el proyecto Superfrutos que conservan bosques, vamos a conseguir que esto dure para siempre.
Estos superfrutos son comprados a las comunidades por la empresa Marumayu del Grupo AGE e introducidos al mercado global a través de una bebida natural saludable llamada BioAmayu. Por ello, en el proyecto Superfrutos que conservan bosques, hemos establecido alianzas estratégicas para brindar asesoramiento técnico, equipamiento y soporte necesario para la recolección de estos superfrutos, los que son obtenidos de forma sostenible y responsable, bajo un enfoque inclusivo, respetuoso por la cultura y saberes ancestrales, así como el rol de las mujeres, quienes participan en diversas actividades de la cadena de valor. De esta forma, Marumayu compra el aguaje y camu camu en las comunidades. Frutama en Iquitos se encarga de despulpar la fruta, con la que AGE produce las bebidas que llevan el sello de aliados por la conservación. Un círculo virtuoso que ayuda a evitar el avance de la deforestación en el bosque amazónico.
¿Cómo no sentirnos orgullosos cuando el fruto que recolectamos ahora viaja por todo el mundo, conservando nuestros bosques y mejorando nuestra calidad de vida?
Superfrutos que conservan bosques, una esperanza para el futuro de la Amazonía.
Okay, so outside, actually, you can actually try them. So we have a cooler there where you can try them. And talking about scaling, so this was a vision of the owners of the company, because they were born in the middle of the biodiversity. And then they expanded to over 20 countries. We are the biggest beverage company of the Global South. But they said, how can we return to Mother Nature what Mother Nature has given us? And we created this project. And talking about scaling, we started with 2 communities in Pacaya, Samiria. Now we have 25 communities, 4.5 million hectares of national parks in Peru, And we have, through the help of the French government and the British government, expanded this value chain to Colombia and to Ecuador. So now we are talking about over 500 families and 40 communities in all these different countries. And we sell this product in these countries. So this is very important that we develop this value chain in all these countries to create this idea that because people don't cut the forest because they're mean or because they're ignorant. They do it because they believe they're going to have a better economic income with a deforested land. So we have to convince the world that the green gold in the Amazon has much more value than the black gold and the yellow gold, as Jonah said. So we are talking about, we already bought directly from the communities. We signed agreement with each community. We started working in 2015. The first bottle came in the market 2019. For 4 years, we were just creating relationship with the communities. And now we bought from them over 2.5 million kilos of fruits. And we are actually selling, right now we have revenue sales of $3.5 million this year from the sales. However, these, as you also said, they are camu camu, buriti, acai is a little bit more famous. Still, people don't know about them. So the big effort from us now is educating the users. I hate the word consumers. It's something from the industrial era. We have conscious users now. And it's trying to communicate to these users that this is good for them, is good for the Amazon, and is good for the communities that work for them.
Thank you. So this is one great example from the beverage industry of how revenue for-profit mechanisms are protecting the forest. Let's now turn to Paula to give us another example. Paula, what is Accoya? Who are you? And tell us a little bit more about the entrepreneurship ecosystem and other for-profit pathways to protect the forest.
Amazing. I want to start, thank you, Jonah and Socap, Michelle, Nicole, Garrett, everyone who is here, all this stuff. I know how hard it is to create an event like that. And I must say that after so many years going to those kind of events, I kind of find my place, my people in the world. So thank you very much for being here. I'm Paula Sherid. I'm an impact entrepreneur for a long time. And I started my career as a chef. But even that I was a great cooker, I even better with process and seeing ways to improve process and growing margins of profit. And I spent my whole career focused in developing precision fermentation and clean label, free from, and most sustainable products to industry. And 5 years ago, I was called. I used to say that I was called. It was not by choice. I was called to Amazon to understand why one of the most biodiverse ecosystems in the world has no startups and has no business growing there that has huge relevance in the global scenario. And, well, I discovered a lot of things. The first of one, it's as a chef, I always getting love for ingredients. So Amazon ingredients, most than just delicious food, they are resilient foods. They are part of huge ancestral and cultural, and it's part of the well-being of a lot of people. And this is deeply rooted into their fights and what they are trying to get alive, is still alive in their territories, protecting those lands and cultivating. Amazon, it's not an untouched ecosystem. It was being managed for people for hundreds of years, and most of those biodiversity that we have today, it's because those people were there living and creating a nice way to cohabit. I like to use that word. So this is so important to me today because I'm not here only talking about me and Paula. I'm here representing hundreds of people that these 5 years have confident their fights and also they conquers their innovations, their social technologies, and they divide with me how they live and what's the challenges and the benefits of being there. So I'm here for them, and I'm only here because they teached me, they gave me the huge honor to be here talking for them. So I want to start my talk saying that today it's a very important day in Brazil. You're voting for PEC 48. PEC 48 is part of Marco Temporal. Marco Temporal, it's a thesis that is being voted at the government that says that traditional people only have the right to demarcate their territories if they were there until the 90s. And this is a huge problem because they were exposed from their territories and they want to go back. And it's just not logical. And it's very important to us to be here talking about that to the world, not only at our homes, and bringing that to you guys, because it's those people that make those kind of products. And I will start saying that when I went to Amazon the first time, people used to say me that there is not enough pipeline, there is not enough products, that they are not mature yet. And I was like, really? Because there is a lot of good stuff. You just try it. I passed some nuts. You just try it. Those nuts are made from traditional communities from Unini. And they have amazing products. And they do that for a long time. And we need to create a way to learn with them and also help them to learn how to improve the security of those kind of solutions to get to our global market. So we need to improve and help them to learn how to improve those techniques, but also we need to learn with them and we need to respect their cultures so we not go there and colonize them to create new products. I used to say that innovation without preservation in Amazon, it's only destruction, because it's not innovation. You're just suppressing cultural habits and people that is there. So this is the most important thing that I like to say. It's not only about the innovation and the possibilities and the dollars that we can bring to the table, but also about the people. And they are very important, and we need to put them in the decision takers. They must be decision takers. And for that, one of the things we are doing, Equia was built with the simple challenge to help scaling Amazon food-based systems. So we developed the Outerall methodology. We work in 4 steps. So the first one is helping data to do human relationships. So today, if you're a large company and you say, I want to buy Camu Camu, I will spend 3 or 4 months looking for product chains that will have the volume you need and creating price and doing a huge financial methodology to define the price, because this is hard also. And when I get to you 4 or 3 months later, you say to me, no, you took so long, I don't want anymore. This is very common. So what we are doing is we are creating reports, previous report. We have 100 ingredients in our databases where we are mapping the volume, but also the potential. So we are creating research and developing new compounds you can use, so creating high-value products and helping those developments to be part of this community. So we are developing patents with them to avoid biopiracy. So we develop the research, we give them the research, and then we patent with them and help them to create those technologies and infrastructures to create those processions, those companies at the forest based, at the forest. So we need more processing infrastructure at the forest, not just seeing the forest as a resource, a raw material. We have to increase innovation there too. The second stage we are talking about, it's a knowledge factory. Why a knowledge factory? Because everyone has knowledge to share. And I think that's the most important thing we must do when we are talking about Amazon. So traditional people has their knowledge to share, and we have our technologies to share too. We just need to create a room where everyone respects each other. So these same nuts you just tried are made for a traditional community where women in their period, they are not allowed to touch food because they get hemosa. We call hemosa. And when woman is hemosa, she is not allowed to touch food. So when you're a huge industry trying to buy cashews or creating a nut products, you need to put those kind of things in your term sheet. You need to create those kind of contracts that are able to respect those traditions. Because if you suppress this, you're colonizing. So we help industry to know and to create more inclusive term sheets, and we help the communities to get more infrastructure and help to those products being safe to be here for you to taste. The third step we're working, it's a more complex one, but there is a major problem that we don't know those ingredients. It's what Jorge was saying. We don't know borichi, we don't know camu camu, and mostly if you see that in a product at the market, you not buy. If you buy, it will be once time for curiosity, but it's not something that it's in our dietary. So you need to help that, and for doing that, market must have a demand. So we help to create projects, and we have a lot of development money. You must be seeing there is hundreds of billions going to developing Amazon. So most of those monies are credits, and they are incentive production. In Manaus, for example, where I live today, there is a government incentive to planting and production and to managing cupuaçu. But they give the loan, but they don't help them to sell those products. There is no one wanting to buy cupuaçu. And if you go to the road in a time of the year, you see and you feel a lot of fermented cupuaçu going to the trash because no one is buying. And those communities just getting in debt. They don't have money to pay those loans. And we are creating a devaluation cycle. So what we help is see to the industries what they are interested, and then we create a program and go to the government and say, here you can create programs to invest, because here we have the demand, and we help that. And then, to finish my first talk, we also believe that I have 12 companies. This is the last one, I swear. But I always dreamed about having a no marketing company. There is no marketing area. I'm sorry for marketing people here, but it's so stressful. And what we are developing, it's not Ecuya being a huge brand, but ingredients are our core focus. So what we are developing is strategies to put those ingredients at novels, films, cultural programs, festivals, bringing huge names from cinema and other kind of idols we have to talk about it and to create those habits and to incentivize that. So we are not investing SEO on Google. We are investing in putting those ingredients in high contest. So I think it's that for now.
Great. 2 examples of people with an entrepreneurial and for-profit mindset taking on the challenges of the Amazon bioeconomy. We hear this in the food industry. It's strong. There's also a lot of activity happening in the cosmetics industry. In fact, there's one other group that is in this room but not on the stage that is focusing, like McDonald's, on developing franchises for forest populations to sell raw materials like muru muru to cosmetics markets around the world. And I just want to recognize them. John Gedshaw, can you just stand up and turn around and let everyone recognize you?
Hey, everybody.
If you guys want to find an opportunity, a group in the Amazon that is raising around, go talk to John. Okay. You're welcome, John. Okay, next step, let's look a little bit about the NGO sector and the philanthropic sector and how it's moving into the Amazon. Should I call on Jill or Marcelo first?
Okay, all right, I'll start. So I'm Jill Kaufman-Johnson. I'm the managing director of Arrow Foundation. And we're part of an integrated capital organization called Next World. And on one half of our organization is the investment side. We also have a private equity firm. And proceeds from that investment activity supports 2 foundations. One is a climate foundation, the Arrow Foundation, and a second arts and culture foundation here in San Francisco that's helping to revive San Francisco and bring arts back. So with the Arrow Foundation, we have 2 primary programs. One is trying to stop the expansion of oil and gas development in the U.S. We are the largest producer of oil and gas at this point in the world. But the other half of our program is then sinking carbon, is maintaining forests and mangroves in the Pan-Amazonian region. And so we've had and I would say land and water, because we know it's the largest water basin, so we need to really, look at that as well. So what we're doing is, I wanted to speak specifically, Jonah had asked me to speak specifically to one organization that we're supporting, that actually Marcelo was part of supporting as well. It's called the Eco Center, and it's based in Santarém, almost in the middle of Brazilian Amazon River. And it's also actually the biggest port where soy is coming up from. The middle of the country. And in Santarém, this Eco Center is there to process oils and juices, fruit for juices, rubber, honey. So it's a place where the ingredients and products can be brought to a central location, and they have the processing capacity, and then they are connecting to the markets. Natura buys a lot of the oils. We have the honey and the rubber is actually in the local markets. And the last one, I was saying honey, but the rubber, that's actually going to export, isn't it? Going to some shoes? Yeah, exactly. Oh, to Veja. So the point here is that this is an effort to build an alternative economy. We have to show what it looks like to have these products to basically come to life, but then have markets for them. And so the Eco Center, the vision of it, is really to build this alternative economy and the infrastructure in the Santarém area to support that. The trucks, the banks, the co-ops, everything that goes around that to basically compete for jobs from the soy industry, the cattle industry, and the mining industry that employs people there. So it's a really great example, and I will pass it off to Marcelo to talk a little bit about what he's doing, but I will speak really briefly to the for-profit side of Next World, where in our private equity firm, we are one of the first investors in Sambazon. Sambazon is the largest acai exporter in the world, and it was founded about 25 years ago, and I can speak a little bit more when we talk about scale, in terms of the connections they have made with harvesters. It's a vertically integrated company. That means they have the direct connection with the harvesters. They have a production facility. They have 2 production facilities at the mouth of the Amazon where it meets the Atlantic Ocean. They then have distribution and the marketing in the US. Most of this goes to the US right now. So I will stop there and hand it over to Marcelo.
Thanks, Jill. And I think the Eco Center is a great example of collaboration because it's run and operated by a cooperative based in Santarém. That's where I live, by the way. And it builds upon the potential of many cooperatives in the region. It has an NGO that it's helping to establish. It's called Saúde e Alegria, which I'm very proud to be friends with. Even got involved in a very famous case of attack that we suffered from the government, but that's another story.
In jail.
Yeah. And I just wanted to also commend Jill and Errol Foundation because that collaboration is also most important to develop this ecosystem of business that we've been talking about, and like the governments that have helped ARRE Group and it all. Not only is a partner that extends resources to these opportunities, to these businesses, but also in a very flexible and partner way. So this is very, very important to commend Errol Foundation for. I have a financial background. I've worked for 12 years in investment banks in São Paulo before moving to the Amazon. And in the Amazon, I was an entrepreneur in the ecotourism businesses. I also worked in organizations, NGOs that manage loan portfolios, impact loan portfolios. And I've been supporting communities to develop these products and a lot in the capacity building arena for business and also extending financial mechanisms and designing, conceptualizing financial mechanisms that adapt to how business is done in the Amazon, how we believe it should be done, which is diversity-based and respecting the cycles of nature. And so I truly believe that business and economy needs to adapt to nature and not the other way around, which is sometimes what we face when talking to investors and capital providers, that they want that the forest operates in certain way to meet their standards. And that's not the way to do it. I wanted to say a little bit about Amana project, which is building upon all of these experiences. I'm putting that project on its feet. Amana means rain, but it means rain in a sense of reverence to prosperity, to the prosperity that rains brings to the Amazon. So the indigenous people use that word not only to refer to rain, but to the prosperity that it brings when it's there. And it is a project that will support communities to produce food ingredients, food products, fruits, and tubers, and all that diversity that they are able to collect in the forest, also managing the forest like the traditional communities have been doing for millennia, and will support them into develop these products to be sourced to school meal programs. In Brazil, there are government-led school meal programs in which the public schools acquire the production from smallholder families. But this is underdeveloped, although there is this program, and because communities have a hard time adapting to the bureaucracy that is necessary. So Amana project will assist them into being able to participate in this and bring that diversity to school meal programs and stop schools in the Amazon from acquiring frozen chicken from the south of the country. And on the contrary, the families will be feeding their children while making money out of it. So the Amana project, it's still in its first steps and will engage communities in this particular region in the state of Pará, near I live. And it's based upon this food sovereignty, income generation, and with that will bring conservation and restoration of the forest and of degraded areas, making the standing forest economies viable and people not being drawn to illegal activities or destructive economic activities. Amana, altogether with this, Amana was designed in convening at the Bellagio Center by Rockefeller Foundation last July. This project launching, it's being supported by the Rockefeller Foundation, and it's tied to a large financing fund for the conversion of palm oil monocultures also there in Pará. Palm oil is going on in the Amazon, not in a very good way most of the time. There are good examples, but there are these monocultures, and this fund will finance the conversion of these monocultures to agroforestry-based palm oil. And this, we think that it's going to attract a lot of investor appetite because it's a commodity, it has a global market. Large food industries are seeking to have sustainable supply chains and will be interested in acquiring this palm oil, but at the same time will attach the Amana project, the development of communities and diversity, to this financing fund. I've been calling it, I'm not sure if it's appropriate, but I'm calling blended finance on the asset side. We're normally seeing blended finance on the liability side, different types of investors crowding in to mitigate risk and to crowd in different pockets of money. But I'm calling this blended finance on the asset side, whereby a viable business and with investor appetite, with scale, drags along products and value chains that for themselves won't attract that kind of money. So We're putting that together with many partners, including Natura and including Regia Capital, which is a JV just formed between the largest bank in Brazil and a fund manager in Brazil. And we plan to really, actually, we are in a preparation phase, and we'll be launching next year with all the communities already engaged, and we'll set forth this agenda of promoting their development and also financing them. It's very probable that we will be needing more granting. So yeah, to get these first steps going, and then after that, the financing fund shall support the development of these communities that I'm talking about. So this is the Amana project. This is one of the things that I'm doing, and also being part of the Amazon Investor Coalition, and also studying the launching of a capital advisory firm, my own, which is just in the conceptualization phase. And yeah, Amana will try to be also one of those alternatives, Jonah, that will bring this richness of the Amazon forest to the spotlight, and to be bringing income generation to people there, and with that, preservation.
Scale, 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 scale. Let's talk about scale. Acai. Acai is a billion-dollar industry. If you look at the downstream value creation, a multi-billion-dollar industry. One estimate, $15 billion in value creation. Cupuaçu, Camu Camu. Are these next? More people are employed by acai today than cattle ranching. Scale, scale, scale. One 5,000-hectare ranch of cattle employs 7 people. One 5,000-hectare ranch of palm oil agroforestry production estimated to employ 800 people. That's how you get scale. Create the jobs so people don't have to cut down the trees. Let's talk a little bit more about scale. Raise your hand if you work for Amazonia Impact Ventures. See these guys? Go network with these guys. John, he's got a single company for you to invest in. If you're an angel investor, you got to talk to that guy. If you want to deploy $10 million, he can't take all that. He'll take some of it. But these guys, Amazonia Impact Ventures, they can absorb your 10 million. Scale, 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 scale. So let's look about scale. Please, please, what is it going to take for you guys to scale the Mayu brand?
Yeah. Well, first I wanted to very quickly talk about scale in the Amazon. No, what really means scaling for the Amazon. We have to. I mean, it's not the classical scaling where of the Industrial Revolution. No, the scaling has to imply, and this is what happens with this new natural revolution we talk about. For example, Amayu, we're talking 500 communities, and we are effectively, out of the 4.5 million hectares that we are about to protect with the national parks of Peru, we're working on 250,000. Now, the more we sell, and this is very different from the Industrial Revolution, the more indigenous communities get involved, the more territory you protect. So this is the beauty about scaling in the Amazon, that actually the more you sell, the more you protect. And it's not what the traditional way that the more you sell, the more you deforest, because you have to put crops in there. So this is primary forest. So this is the key element. And what really, we are working in Colombia already with indigenous communities. We're working with in Ecuador. We're working in Peru. So we have created the value chains. And as I say, the more demand we'll have, the communities talk to each other and we can expand. So what is the real challenge here is the market, okay? This is the real challenge. But we really believe this is, when acai started, I mean, I was just talking to the founder of Sambazón in your great dinner that we had in Los Angeles. Well, you know, I was a little bit frustrated because I was saying, where is the market? Where is the market? No? But he's been working for 20 years, 20 years in the market. Now acai is a $15 billion business. But this is what I see right now with Buriti and with Camu Camu. Let's face it, what is the juice more consumed in the world? Anybody knows? Orange juice. Why? Vitamin C. Okay, Camu Camu has 35 times more vitamin C than an orange. So if you want to have a vitamin C drink, well, Camu Camu gives you 35, and not only that, because of agro-industry, if you had an orange in the 1960s and you have an orange today, oranges have lost 80% of their vitamin C. So here you are. So the way we see it is, okay, Camu Camu, Buriti, nobody knows about them yet, but we can see this will be the next acai, the next kombucha, the next coconut water. When coconut water started, they said it was anise, etc. Look at it's another $5 billion industry. So what we need is everybody to help us into getting these fruits known in the world.
If you are a social media influencer, you have your marching orders. Okay, scale.
I would
Paula.
like to compliment what.
And I'm going to add one question. So you will compliment, but I also want you to talk about data. Where's the data on all these Amazonian products, and how's that affect scale?
Okay. Just to complement, there is something that we are used to tell at Ecuya. It's not only the ingredient. There is something anyone here is familiar with slow food movement? Okay, nice, everyone. Okay, so in slow food, there is something we use it to say that don't eat anything your grandmother wasn't made identify as an ingredient. And if you saw Amazon ingredients, nobody will identify. So this is a huge problem, but we need to start to see those ingredients more than just an ingredient, more than just Camu Camu. We need to see the vitamin C. We need to see the power that this has in the industry. And something that we are used to say, it's that Amazon can provide a different kind of scale. So when we're saying about seasonality and biodiversity, we have Camu Camu, we have Muru Muru, we have a lot of different types of and fonts of vitamin C. Maybe we can work and improve vitamin C for those different ingredients and use vitamin C as seasonality with these ingredients. So you don't need to use vitamin C from Camu Camu always. You can use vitamin C for other ingredients at the same territory that has vitamin C. It's a nutritional and science compound. So you need to isolate that and create mechanisms to combine that. So you can create scale in smaller proportions. So this is one of the things that we are trying to create. And in addition, data is very important because we need to understand what those kind of ingredients has to provide. If you don't create research about that, you will never know. So today, industry, one of the things that I most receive, it's, Paula, can you send me the 100 ingredients list? And can you please put a translator for us, because I don't understand what that means. And we create that. We create something that if you are a person in the industry trying to develop innovation with ingredients from Amazon, you can go there and look that and see, I'm looking for vitamin C. And we will show Camu Camu, you will show another fonts of vitamin C. So data is very important, but there is a challenge there because data from Amazon has more than 300 languages. So we need to create a more human way to collect that data. So at Ecuya, what we are doing is creating delegations of people that can go to those territories, speak in those languages, and receive those data, and we process those data to a more universal language. So this is a huge work, and just to say, we can also receive a lot of money because we have a lot of projects. We have more than 15 projects in different territories, and it's not investing in Ecuya, you're investing directly in the territory, so with indigenous people, Quilombola people. And this is very important because when you're talking about data, those people must know what it's something that it's very peculiar because they don't even know what they must bring to us. They don't know. Oh, you have Camu Camu? Yeah, I have it. Sometimes I have some to eat. Sometimes I extract. Sometimes I do something with that. But they don't have the data how you use it to. It's not I have this volume for this pricing. This is the logical I'm using. So we need to help them, and we need to translate. It's like a translator, because there is a lot of different languages. So I think that's the most important thing of data today. It's being human enough to capture those differences and create a universal language so you can improve this relationship.
Great, thank you. In the interest of time, moving to next, Jill, from the perspectives of donors and investors, what is limiting scale?
Well, I think I was first going to sort of think about, I have my foot also in the climate world. And the thing the analogy I always use is this concept of distributed energy. So we, instead of having centralized energy production, now in the climate, their climate solution is now solar, wind, geothermal. These are now solutions that are highly distributed. So it's not, if you think about monocrops being our sort of utility of the past, we're looking at distributed. But how do you scale when you have that kind of distribution, that sort of distributed source of products? So one thing I'm going to speak a little bit to is just quickly, sorry, I realized it, this one, is this idea of what does it actually take? And so with Sambazon, I was actually going to give an example there, is that they actually have 1,000 harvesters in 300 different communities. And so the idea of having direct relationships with them and having transparency, because knowing where that product comes from is now the cost of doing business, is the standard for doing business. So scale is one thing, but you also need to provide transparency for that network of where the product is being sourced from. But by doing that, you also then have more stable pricing. If you have these relationships and these respectful relationships, you also have consistent supply and consistent quality. Because to go to scale, it has to always taste good, it has to arrive on time, and you need to have enough of that product. So those are some really just basics that we're seeing to be able to source from such a highly distributed source of products, but to be able to bring that to scale.
Great. Okay, Marcelo, let's move to agroforestry. What are the pros and cons of scaling agroforestry?
I think I'm a huge fan of agroforestry because it mimics the origins of the Amazon as it is right now. There is evidence, scientific evidence, through archaeology that the Amazon is the way it is because traditional people and indigenous people have been doing agroforestry for millennia. They have been planting, they have been composting, they have been putting diversity in front, not only camu camu and açaí and buriti, but dozens and hundreds of ingredients and food because they thought that by doing this, they would perpetuate their food sovereignty. And by doing that, they were able to form the Amazon as it is. There are plenty of evidence about that. One of them is the Black Earth, indigenous Black Earth, which is a technology that indigenous left to people to these days because they had this century forward thinking. And so that's big scale. That's big scale. The Amazon is at scale right now. Trees are at scale, fish are at scale. Everything about the Amazon is at scale. And all we need to do is mimic what it is, which is diversity-based, which is decentralized-based, and all this agro-biodiversity has been done a lot. And the fruits, the tubers, they are there because they were intentionally put it there. So there is a lot to bring scale. In agroforestry, it's a great way to do that because you have to bring that concept of putting together different species, different type of capital, investment, philanthropic, concessional, in everywhere that I do, I try to think in this way with complexity. We heard from Laura Ortiz saying that you cannot look at ocean's health if you don't look at land's health, but you cannot look at land's health if you don't look at air health. It's everything, it's interconnected, and that's how business should be as well. And agroforestry is one way to do that, because plants will help each other to increase productivity, they'll help each other to increase resilience. So I think, I'm not sure if I can find cons again for agroforestry, because it has been showing that by using the diversity, you attract pollinators, you attract humidity, you protect the soil. So it's much more intelligent to do that. Yes, it requires more capital to establish the agroforestry, but profits come by after just a few years, and that has been proved by many pilots, many concepts that are going on already. And this is a very good also technique to absorb carbon. Brazil is the 5th largest carbon emitter of the world, and more than 80% of that comes from Amazon deforestation. And by using agroforest to restore degraded land, we are also avoiding that tipping point while producing food, while generating income for people, and attracting them to use the forest as a way of living instead of clearing out to make a living.
There are 2 numbers on the program about when our Amazonian session ends. One is 5 minutes from now, and the other one is like 10 minutes from now. So we're going to, 5 minutes from now, okay. So we're going to go lightning round. While I have one comment and then one question for the panel. While this is happening, I want the Amazonian people that deserve visibility in this room to come to the front. So if you're from Amazonia Impact Ventures, or if you're from Biotara, can you come stand behind us on the stage and show your pretty faces? Okay, so question, I'm going to make one comment. Cattle and soy in the Amazon, in the Brazilian Amazon, earn $20 billion a year. If you replace that same geographic footprint with agroforestry and horticulture, which is estimated to be able to earn about $3,000, $3,500 per hectare per year, then you could replace that $20 billion monoculture deforesting footprint with a $206 billion agroforestry carbon sequestration, improved biodiversity footprint, a 10x increase. The scale is possible, but lots of challenges. One of these questions is dead on it. So there's a question for you guys. Will scaling require immigration into the Amazon? Is there enough labor? Anyone want to take that on?
I would like to complement, and I just brought a case study here to analyze. So this is Café Apuí. This is made from agroforestry systems in one of the largest deforestation areas in Amazon. Apuí is at the frontier with Mato Grosso. Mato Grosso is one of the biggest responsibles for deforestation in Amazon. And we started this project by getting smaller producers that were at the frontier, and we started to incentive them to plant agroforestry and coffee, Robusta coffee, and then we implement also the credit carbon, and to another economic value, you have the coffee, and now we have the caffeine, 35% caffeine isolate to the industry to make super coffee. So we are regenerating more than 2,000 hectares and also providing good food, organic food. So I think it's a nice example to what we can do.
Carbon negative coffee. Mm-hmm. Marcelo.
Yeah, on relation to labor and immigration, it's hard to see that as a problem, because what we have right now, it's the opposite. It's young people leaving their communities, and people immigrating out of the Amazon because all they hear that it's valued in the global economy, it's other types of economic activities rather than those that can be produced in the forest that we are speaking about. So developing those value chains that we're talking about is a very good way to maintain people in their communities, is a great way to incentivize their cultural attachments to these productions, and this is intrinsic to their families and for generations. And so I think there's not only enough people to have all of these value chains developed, but also there can be use of technology to increase productivity, to make the jobs easier, because it isn't hard. Whoever ever been into acai plant area, has anybody been to acai? It's very easy to get eaten by mosquitoes and snakes and scorpions and all of that, and it's hard work. So whenever we see more technology coming in, and with the knowledge of the union between technology and cutting edge technology and the traditional knowledge, then you have the power.
Okay, we have just a couple seconds left. I'm going to put the microphone in front of a couple people and give them a minute to explain what they're doing. John, what are you doing? You got 1 minute.
Okay. We're working with communities to produce carbon negative oils for the cosmetics industry and ensure that we have full transparency and social justice built into the term sheets that we offer. It's called Biotara, and we're going for 10,000 jobs within the next decade and 4 million hectares under protection. Biotara.earth.
What's your email?
John@biotara.earth.
Aldo, I'm coming to you. What is Amazonia Impact Ventures?
We're providing the capital that the communities and the smallholder farmers organizations and indigenous enterprises need to produce these beautiful products to sell to the market and to connect to better markets. So we are Amazon Impact Ventures. We are building our first fund. We're raising capital now. We work in Peru, Colombia, Ecuador, and hopefully next Brazil.
What's your website?
Amazonimpactventures.com.
And what's your email?
Soto, S-O-T-O, it's very difficult, impvholdings.com.
Great. I'd like to invite everyone to close their eyes for a second. See the forest burning. See a giant rainstorm come and blow it away. Imagine the forest reforesting, all that green. And feel the energy of the people in this room. Open your eyes. This group of people join forces and save the Amazon. If you want to connect with any of these people, my email is jonah, Jonah, @amazoninvestor.org. Write that down. I'll answer all your emails. I'll connect you with anyone as appropriate.
And the survey.
Oh, and
this is not the survey yet. Just a minute. Just a minute. I would like to have 1 more hour or 5 hours. So we provide a full report, 100 pages to you to read and to know all those challenges and possibilities that we have. And you also find more than 60 ingredients from original Amazon to learn about it. Thank you to Amazon Investment Coalition to providing us the help to do it.
That was done with indigenous people and Quilombola people.
Yeah, it was written by me and an indigenous anthropologist and Quilombola science.